Well, the backlash over Emmanuel Macron's comments on U.S.-China tensions continues in the press today. Our press reviewer, Diptyque Laurent, is here to break it down for us.
Well, in comments to the French newspaper Les Echos and Politico on Sunday, Aaron, the French president essentially questioned whether it's in the interests of Europe to wade into U.S.-China tensions or accelerate a crisis on Taiwan, advocating against Europe becoming, quote, followers. While his comments have not gone down well in the international press, it continues today, the backlash, no more so evident than in the Australian papers. The Sydney Morning Herald today focusing on this in its print edition with two articles looking at the anger after Emmanuel Macron's comments. The paper lambasting what it sees really as a 180-degree U-turn by the French president, noting that when he visited Sydney back in 2018, he made a landmark announcement on Indo-Pacific relations designed to put the security of that region at the forefront of global issues. Well, fast forward to 2023, and now he's backtracked after a, quote, rockstar welcome in China and declarations by President Xi Jinping that Macron is a, quote, bosom friend. There's also a lot of anger in the European papers. This is from Der Tagesspiegel, which is a German paper, which calls, which evokes what it calls Emmanuel Macron's megalomania. The paper accusing the French president of dividing and weakening the West with his comments. Quite a warm reception, though, from the Global Times. You can see here this Chinese paper really using these comments to its advantage. The editors today writing that, I quote, in the eyes of normal people, Macron's emphasis on protecting European interests is not news, but many act as if this has stepped on their tails. A reference, of course, to the U.S. criticism of Emmanuel Macron's comments, Aaron.
We'll change gears then and move to Egypt, which is the focus of those leaked classified documents published on the Washington Post.
Yeah, this is the Post obtained the document from a trove of images, it says, on classified files posted on the gaming app Discord. This was a few months ago. A portion of one such document shows purported conversations between the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and his officials discussing plans to supply Russia with artillery rounds and gunpowder. He'd reportedly ordered subordinates to produce up to 40,000 rockets to be then covertly shipped to Russia. The Post explaining that U.S.-Egyptian relations have sort of taken a downturn in recent times. The U.S. leans on Egypt to sort of contain violence in the region, particularly between Israel and Palestine. But Egyptian authorities have been reportedly dissatisfied with this relationship with the U.S. and particularly the U.S. putting conditions on human rights and democracy in the country.
Changing gears again now, Diptyque. Junior doctors in the UK are going on strike today for higher wages. There are fears, of course, though, that could have a catastrophic impact on waiting lists.
And it most likely will, Aaron. Junior doctors are walking off the job today in a strike that is the most disruptive industrial action in the history of Britain's public health service. It's on the front pages of a lot of the papers, not a surprise then. This is a Daily Mirror, which headlines on just how much junior doctors earn, £14 an hour, and this to carry out vital operations, according to the British Medical Association. So doctors are asking for a 35% pay rise after years of below-inflation increases, and a very strong turnout is expected, around 77%, according to the British media, at the strike that will take place over the next couple of days. The Eye, meanwhile, warns that 350,000 operations and appointments will be cancelled over the coming days, with even GP appointments affected by the strikes. One union boss warning that in- and outpatient care will be badly affected, and this does not bode well for treatments like chemotherapy and cancer appointments, Aaron.
You would think, given the importance of those operations, that they would certainly be making more than £14 an hour. Certainly puts pressure on the government to act. All right, Diptyque, finally from you. She was the brains behind the hit show Fleabag. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, that is. And she scored a lucrative Amazon deal, but a new report shows that she hasn't yet produced a new show.
That's right. The Hollywood Report revealed earlier this month that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was given a 3-year deal with Amazon after the wild success of her comedy show Fleabag. Since her 3-year contract has started, she's been paid $60 million so far. A very so lucrative is really an understatement, but she has yet to bring out any new material since Fleabag. She's currently working on some projects, but the website Decider says that it doesn't mean that any of that will actually come to fruition, because that's how streaming platforms work these days. You just never know. I quite like what this website said. Respect to Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who's made $60 million producing zero content. They say that maybe she is the original Fleabag after all, but can you imagine all the things you could do with that money for the good of the world, Erin?
Indeed. Well, keep an eye on whether or not she produces a show or does something else with that whopping sum. Dipti Kilaron with the Press Review. Thank you very much.